province of Pakistan. Pitched battles can be seen here between the people of Sindh and the Pakistani state. Police opened fire on protesters, killing at least 2 of them. Many were injured. Now see this. Plumes of smoke billowing out after protesters set the house of Sindh's Home Minister Ziaul Hasan Lanjar on fire. Look at how his house was vandalized by angry protesters earlier. And see how this man at the Home Minister's house is spraying bullets as protesters gather outside. Angry protesters blocked highways and torched trucks and tankers in Sindh. So why is Pakistan's Sindh on the boil? Hello and welcome to Connecting the Dots. I'm Unman Bhattacharya. Let's connect the dots of an open revolt in Sindh against the Pakistani state. The main trigger for the current wave of protests is this: a government-backed plan to construct new canals on the Indus River. Sindhis fear these canals will divert water from Sindh to Punjab province of Pakistan. Sindh is already facing drought conditions, and Sindhis fear the diversion of water will only worsen their water scarcity and thus threaten livelihoods of millions of people in Sindh, especially farmers who depend on the Indus for agriculture. Remember, Sindh is a lower riparian province and has historically received less than its fair share of Indus River water. Most of the water is allocated by Pakistan to its Punjab province. The sharing of Indus River water among Pakistan's provinces is governed by the Water Apportionment Accord of 1991. According to that accord, the total available water is to be distributed like this. But Sindh frequently reports receiving less than its allocated share, impacting its agriculture and economy. Protesters are also fiercely opposing allocation of Sindh's land and water resources to corporate farming interests. Such projects have displaced local residents. As a result, people have been forced off their land, and their access to natural and water resources has been reduced. Locals see corporate farming as favoring large companies at the expense of small farmers. Protesters argue that the land should instead be allocated to local and landless farmers to support local communities and prevent their further marginalization. Now, guess who is the real beneficiary of corporate farming projects in Sindh? The answer is the Pakistan Army. The Sindh government has signed agreements to hand over more than 52,000 acres of land in 6 districts to Green Corporate Initiative Private Limited for corporate farming under the government's Green Initiative. This company is owned and operated by the Pakistan Army. 99% of its shares are held through a nominee, Major General Shahid Nazir. The projects are structured to give the army-backed company long-term access to vast tracts of land with the stated aim of agricultural modernization. Local communities and nationalist parties in Sindh see this as land grab by the Pakistan military, besides denial of their rights as locals. Now see this. Calls for freedom from Pakistan are growing in Sindh. Civilians in Sindh stopped a convoy of the Pakistan Army. They confronted Pakistani soldiers on camera. Their anger is unmistakable. They call Pakistan their enemy.
नहीं जंग नहीं और क्या हम तुम हमारे दुश्मन हो चलाओ गोली चलाओ गोली आज बनेगा सिंधु देश.
Here's why Sindh wants to leave Pakistan and become an independent country. Atrocities in Sindh started with the partition of India and the creation of Pakistan in 1947. In the partition, Pakistan got Sindh. During and after the partition, the Hindu community in Sindh faced violence, threats, and pressure to convert to Islam. Hindu women in Sindh faced widespread violence. They were subjected to rape, abduction, and other forms of sexual violence. Around 776,000 Sindhi Hindus migrated to India to escape the atrocities. They were forced to leave their ancestral land, homes, and wealth behind. Those Hindus who remained in Sindh became a small and marginalized minority that continues to face discrimination, violence, and abductions. That's one harsh reality that the Hindu minority community continues to face. Now, what I'm going to say now is what Sindhi nationalists say is the root cause of Sindh's troubles. The structuring of Pakistan to benefit non-Sindhi groups, especially Punjabis. Punjab has the largest share of seats in Pakistan's National Assembly, which is the lower house of Pakistan's parliament. This allows Punjabis to decisively influence federal politics and government formation. Most prime ministers, top bureaucrats, and military leaders have historically hailed from Punjab. That has reinforced Punjab's grip on national power. The majority of army chiefs in recent decades have been of Punjabi origin. The military leadership of Pakistan is closely tied to Punjab's political elite. There is Punjabi dominance in the military, bureaucracy, and everywhere else. Educational attainment and access to top universities are higher in Punjab compared to other provinces of Pakistan. Hence, most jobs go to the Punjabis in Pakistan. Then there are language and identity issues as well. Sindhis feel that the imposition of Urdu as the national language and the downgrading of Sindhi language's status has led to their cultural erasure and loss of identity. Punjabi culture and language are strongly represented in national media and identity. This has sidelined the cultures of smaller provinces. So economic, political, and social inequalities persist in Pakistan, and non-Punjabi regions feel excluded from the benefits of development and governance. This Punjabi dominance has led to resentment and feelings of marginalization in provinces like Sindh, Balochistan, and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, fueling separatist and nationalist movements. Now let's look at the history of the demand for Sindhudesh. The demand for Sindhudesh, or a separate homeland for Sindhis, began in the late 1960s. It was primarily led by pivotal figures of the movement, G.M. Syed and Pir Ali Muhammad. G.M. Syed formally proposed the idea of an independent Sindhudesh in 1972 and founded the Jai Sindh Mahaz to promote Sindhi nationalism and autonomy. Initially, the movement's demands ranged from greater political, economic, and cultural rights for Sindhis to outright secession from Pakistan. But the movement gained momentum after the 1971 breakup of Pakistan and creation of Bangladesh. That inspired Sindhi nationalists to seek a similar path. In the 1980s, there were open confrontations between Sindhi nationalists and the Pakistani state, especially during General Zia-ul-Haq's regime, but these were suppressed by force. The movement for Sindhudesh has persisted, with organizations like Jai Sindh Qawami Mahaz and Jai Sindh Muttahida Mahaz leading protests and strikes against demographic changes, resource exploitation, and projects like the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC, that pass through Sindh. Sindhi nationalists say continued migration of non-Sindhi groups to Sindh and state policies threaten their identity, resources, and political autonomy. Add to that rampant human rights violations such as enforced disappearances, forced conversions to Islam, sexual violence, abduction, torture, political repression, and extrajudicial killings by the Pakistani state. All this put together is fueling calls for Sindhudesh. and experts have a dire warning for Pakistan. They say that Pakistan could break into multiple parts due to such internal crises, ethnic tensions, and separatist movements. Some predict 4 or 5 new entities could emerge, including Balochistan, Sindh, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa or Pashtunistan and Punjab. But Pakistan can't afford to lose Sindh because Sindh, Pakistan's second largest province by population, is a major contributor to Pakistan's agricultural and economic output. Sindh feeds Pakistan. Indus waters flow through Sindh. Karachi, Pakistan's commercial capital, is located in Sindh. That shows the province's economic importance. Sindh was the historical gateway of Islam because it was the first region in the Indian subcontinent where Islam was introduced. Sindh was also the center of the ancient Indus Valley civilization, one of the world's earliest urban cultures with archaeological sites like Mohenjo-daro. This underscores Sindh's deep historical roots. Without the Indus and Sindh's agricultural and economic contributions, Pakistan's food security, economy and environmental stability all would be at serious risk. If Pakistan loses Sindh, it will lose the bridge between its present and the past. Pakistan's Army Chief General Asim Munir may call Kashmir Pakistan's jugular vein, but in reality, it is Sindh. If cut, it could mean the end of Pakistan. As Pakistan tries to divert global attention through fake claims around Operation Sindoor and by promoting its field general to field marshal status, its own house continues to implode. Is this the beginning of Pakistan's end? The days ahead could be crucial for the very existence of Pakistan.
As we make a historic announcement about the Golden Dome missile defense shield. That's something we want.
US President Donald Trump has announced new details of his ambitious missile defense plan known as the Golden Dome. The multi-billion-dollar program aims to protect the United States from foreign missile attacks. Trump ordered the project in January after beginning his second term in office. The goal is to build a network of satellites and defense systems that can detect, track, and intercept incoming missiles. The idea of a space-based missile defense system is not new. President Ronald Reagan first proposed a similar concept in the 1980s during the Cold War. His Strategic Defense Initiative, often called Star Wars, also aimed to stop nuclear missiles using space technology. Trump's Golden Dome builds on that vision with 21st century tools. Let's listen into what Trump said.
Ronald Reagan wanted it many years ago, but they didn't have the technology. But it's something we're going to have. We're going to have it at the highest level. In the campaign, I promised the American people that I would build a cutting-edge missile defense shield to protect our homeland from the threat of foreign missile attack. And that's what we're doing.
So how will the Golden Dome work? The system will rely on 3 main components. Satellites. Hundreds of satellites will be deployed in space to detect missile launches around the world, including in their early stages. Interceptor systems. These include both ground and space-based missiles such as THAAD and Aegis, designed to destroy threats mid-air. AI-powered command centers. Artificial intelligence will analyze data quickly and guide real-time responses across the network. President Trump has appointed General Michael Guetlein of the US Space Force to lead the project. Guetlein is a 4-star general with decades of experience in missile defense and space systems. He previously served in the US Air Force before joining the Space Force in 2021. According to Trump, Canada also showed interest to be part of the project.
To keep our country secure and our communities safe.
Trump said he wants the Golden Dome to be operational by January 2029, the end of his current term.
Canada has called us and they want to be a part of it. So we'll be talking to them. They want to have protection also. So as usual, we help Canada do the best we can. This design for the Golden Dome will integrate with our existing defense capabilities and should be fully operational before the end of my term. So we'll have it done in about 3 years.
So Trump says the project will be completed in 3 years. Now, what would be the cost of developing such a futuristic system? There is a wide gap in cost estimates. Trump has announced an initial budget of $25 billion with a projected total cost of around $175 billion. However, a recent report by the Congressional Budget Office warns the program could cost as much as $831 billion over the next 2 decades. Major defense and tech companies are already competing to be part of the project. SpaceX, led by Elon Musk, is considered a leading contender. Other companies like Palantir and Anduril are also in the running. Now, some lawmakers have raised concerns about the contract process, especially regarding the close ties between the Trump administration and companies like SpaceX, given the fact that SpaceX's owner, Elon Musk, is now part of the Trump administration's decision-making process. Trump's ambitious plan draws inspiration from Israel's Iron Dome.
Once fully constructed, the Golden Dome will be capable of intercepting missiles even if they are launched from other sides of the world and even if they are launched from space. And we will have the best system ever built. As you know, we helped Israel with theirs, and it was very successful, and now we have technology that's even far advanced from that.
So what is Israel's Iron Dome? Israel's Iron Dome is an advanced mobile air defense system designed to protect against short-range threats like rockets, artillery shells, and even drones. And here's how it works. Sophisticated radar systems detect incoming rockets. Then, a control system determines whether the rocket is headed for a populated area or a critical infrastructure. If it's going to land in an open, empty space, the system will let it pass, saving its expensive interceptor missiles. Otherwise, it launches an interceptor missile to destroy the incoming threat in mid-air. Each of these interceptor missiles, known as Tamir missiles, costs approximately $40,000 to $50,000. Since becoming operational in 2011, the Iron Dome has intercepted thousands of rockets, with Israel reporting a success rate of over 90% for threats aimed at populated areas. But Trump's Golden Dome differs in scale and purpose. While the Iron Dome protects a small area from short-range attacks, Trump's plan is to defend the entire US, a country roughly 450 times larger, from long-range and hypersonic missiles. The US has long discussed building a missile defense shield, but past efforts have stalled due to high costs and technical challenges. Recently, the Defense Intelligence Agency warned that countries like China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea now have missiles that are capable of reaching the US mainland. These include ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and hypersonic weapons. Following Trump's announcement, China criticized the Golden Dome plan and urged the United States to cancel it. They warned it could destabilize global security and lead to a new arms race in space.
The plan openly calls for a significant expansion of outer space combat capabilities, including the development and deployment of orbital interception system. This has a strong offensive nature and violates the principle of peaceful use advocated by Outer Space Treaty. It will exacerbate the militarization of outer space and the risk of an arms race, undermining international security and the arms control framework. China is seriously concerned about this. We urge the United States to abandon its plan to develop and deploy a global missile defense system at an early date.
If completed, the Golden Dome would be the first US weapon system deployed in space. Supporters argue it could transform America's ability to defend against modern threats. Critics question its cost, timeline, and impact on international relations. One thing is for sure: if realized, the Golden Dome would reshape the global defense dynamics. That's all in this edition of Connecting the Dots. We'll see you next week with more raging issues. Until then, it's a goodbye from all of us in the Delhi newsroom. This is Munmun Bhattacharya signing off. Take care and stay safe.